The following podcast contains adult content, including adult language. I talk openly about sex and other adult topics. If you are under the age of 18 or are uncomfortable listening to sexually explicit narratives, please listen no further. I am not a professional therapist, counselor, or doctor. I'm just an average guy in the swinger lifestyle who likes to share his experiences. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Please seek a professional if you are in need of guidance or care as it relates to sexual health or alternative lifestyles. Hello, lifestyle friends, and welcome to Evan Swings, a lifestyle podcast from the perspective of a guy in the lifestyle. As I mentioned in my last episode, this show has been generously given a place in the podcast section of swing.com. So I wanted to do a little bit of an extended introduction again, since I probably have some new listeners out there checking out the podcast for the first time. So hello, I'm your host, Evan, and if you are new, thank you for giving this podcast a chance. I am one half of a lifestyle couple, the other half being my lovely wife, Eva, and we have been in the lifestyle for about 4.5 years now. We are in our very late 40s. We turned 50 this year, and we live in the Dayton, Ohio area, where there honestly isn't a vibrant, booming lifestyle community. We usually venture out to the bigger cities like Columbus or Cincinnati to quench our lifestyle thirst. Usually Columbus, though. We are a full swap couple and enjoy the FWB, Friends with Benefits dynamic. I enjoy doing this little podcast as a way to share our adventures with the world, and hopefully offer a source of entertainment and information for the lifestyle community. I'm not an expert, just your everyday, normal, average guy. And I do this as a labor of love. Okay, there's no advertisement, no sponsors. It's just me and my perspective. I'm sitting here right now in my home office. I have dogs. They oftentimes shake their collars and you hear it. Comes through the mic. Currently, they're chewing on some bones. So you may hear that stuff in the background. But again, that's just proof that I'm just a regular guy. So thank you again if you're checking me out for the first time. And if you are a returning listener, thank you for coming back. I greatly appreciate your support. And before I get into the main topic of today's episode, I have a couple of quick little bits I wanted to throw in here and discuss. A few episodes ago, I did a show that I entitled Baffled. And I talked about a wonderful experience that Eva and I had meeting another couple north of us. Most people, like I said, we meet are east of us in Columbus or south of us in Cincinnati. But this couple was from the north, and we were meeting them for the first time, and it went great. Everyone seemed completely on board. And we even set another date before we even ended the evening. Then we stayed in touch, and we chatted and flirted on Telegram for, I'd say, about a week. And then suddenly, they called it off. Seemingly no reason. And I was annoyed. Eva was surprised. And she lets these things roll off her back better than I do. But we were both baffled. Hence the title of the episode. But then, the dude texted me privately and apologized. And he talked about how His wife was experiencing some jealousy, and they were still trying to figure things out. He hoped that there was no hard feelings, and I told him there was not, and that, we were just very surprised considering how well we all hit it off. And he responded that he hoped that she would come around because he was super excited to see us again, and if anything changed, he would circle back to us right away. Well, that was it, and we really did hope they would circle back to us, and we thought there was maybe a slight chance, but we know how these things go. But anyway, just a week or so later, so a week or so after he apologized and told me all this, I noticed that they were on SDC, and they were just liking profiles left and right. So in case you are unaware, on SDC, if you go to your feed, you can see the profiles that your friends have liked and any other interactions, like, validations or whatever. So because we also saw that they were validated by another couple, because, again, that appears on your feed too. And this couple that validated them mentioned that they had gotten together multiple times. So my first reaction, honestly, was, those motherfuckers wasted our time, gave us what now appears to be a phony apology, and seemingly had no intention of ever circling back to us like they said. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I have mentioned many times on this podcast, in the lifestyle, you have every right to change your mind about another person or another couple at any time. And you don't even have to feel obligated to give a reason. Okay? It is your right. It is your prerogative. But just be honest. Don't bullshit me. I can't stand when people are just not genuine, okay? If the dude was like, hey, we had a good time with you, but, unfortunately, we no longer feel like we are a match going forward. Fine. So be it. No worries. But to do this fake apology crap and then go off trying to hook up with all these other couples left and right, fuck off. Okay, sorry to sound that way, but seriously. Okay, just be honest, guys. Be honest. We're all adults here. We don't need the bullshit. Eva and I really liked them. And we were really hoping, actually hoping they would circle back to us. Because we believe that apology. We believe they were serious, that they really liked us, and they just had to sort some jealousy things out. And if they did, we would hear back from them. So, I'm sorry. Fuck them for giving us false hope with that little apology stunt. Just be honest and keep the BS out of it. Oh, and then my other little story of frustration. As I just mentioned, I should say we appreciate honesty. To this day, I admit I still have trouble turning down couples we are not interested in. It's tough. I mean, I know it's not always easy. As someone myself, okay, as someone with not a whole lot of self-confidence, I know it's not always easy to find the courage to reach out to another couple, initiate contact. I don't care what your background is, what your dynamic is, what you look like, how old you are, what your interests are. I don't care. It is still flattering if you reach out and show interest in us. So that's why I have a difficult time turning people down. I genuinely appreciate it. I appreciate their interest. And that's also why I always want to be respectful if Eva and I are not interested. I mentioned this in a previous episode. And there are my dogs going at it. I mentioned this in a previous episode, and I can't remember which one, but an older couple in their late 60s contacted us recently. No introduction, no small talk, just something like, I can't remember what they said. It was like, interested in getting together tonight for dinner and conversation. It was just like one question like that. I can't remember the exact words. Okay, but just go with me here. It was something like that. Just one sentence about getting together that evening for dinner and conversation. But Eva and I, we were not interested in the slightest. But again, I want to be respectful and honest. I appreciate the interest. So I wrote back and simply said, "I'm sorry, we are not interested. We wish you the best of luck." I thought that was pretty clear, cut and dry, specifically stated we were not interested. Wish them luck. I don't think I could be much clearer than that. And they didn't respond to that message. Well, a few weeks go by, and then last Friday night, we get a message from them again. And it says, "Any plans this evening?" Just like that. Seriously? Are you that dense? Or I'm sorry to say it, are you just plain dumb? I just don't understand. I shouldn't have to keep turning you down. So I just blocked them. I was like, I'm done with this. I was polite and respectful, and then they had the audacity to contact me again, seemingly to try to make plans with us. And that's just so frustrating. It's just, and this was a couple, they didn't have any face pics, had no idea what they looked like, a kind of a bare bones profile. And it specifically says in our profile, by the way, that if you don't have face pics in your profile, or you don't immediately open up your private folder to share what you look like, then there's a good chance we are not going to respond to you. And I state all this politely, okay, but I do state it. So it's just frustrating, and just unfortunately, you're going to run into people like that, in the lifestyle from time to time. All right, and now let's get into my main topic for today. I have been wanting to do an episode focused on this specific topic for a while now. And then I received an email from a listener about it, and that kind of pushed it to the front of the line. So first, let me read that email, or part of it. Tim writes, "You have talked many times about how amazing reclaim sex is. However, if the wife has just had her brains fucked out by a sex master with a large member, of course, I feel like the husband might be a bit of a letdown for her, especially so soon after having her world so incredibly rocked. So my question is reclaim sex as great for the wife as it is for the husband?" First of all, thank you so much for the question. I think that is actually one of the better ones I've received. Very well written. So let's dive in, and I will address the question along the way. Since our very first experience in the lifestyle, Eva and I have both loved the act of having sex with each other after one or both of us had sex with someone else. And I'm not sure if there is an official term for this, but we have always referred to it as reclaim sex. It is the act of reclaiming your spouse or significant other after they were intimate with someone else. It is almost always intense. And actually, I can't remember a time when it wasn't intense. What makes it so intense? Well, again, I'm no expert, okay? But I do have a pretty solid hypothesis based on two reasons. And I'll use Eva and myself as examples, of course. So number one, part one. One or both of us just had super enjoyable, I'll say hot sexual experience. So the thought of that is still fresh in our minds, okay? And our bodies, okay? Our bodies have just experienced a huge sexual high. And if we just had a full swap, I'm not only thinking about the fun I just had with another woman, okay? But also the images of Eva playing with another guy. They're still in my head. I don't know if that came out right. I'm not having sex with Eva, laying there thinking about another woman. That's not what I meant. I just mean that the thoughts are fresh in my head about what just happened. My body is still ramped up, excited from the experience I just had. So, sorry, that certainly didn't come out the way I wanted it to. My brain is certainly not focused on another woman while I'm having sex with Eva. Okay. But I do definitely admit that thoughts of Eva with the other guy do pop in my head. I just really enjoy seeing her with another guy, and that just makes the current experience hotter for me. And to go along with this, another thing I think about, honestly, is how hot Eva is, all right? Like, I think to myself, damn, I am one lucky guy. Sure, she just had sex with another guy, maybe even someone hotter than me, maybe someone with a bigger dick than me, maybe, well, probably someone with a better toned muscular body than me, and hair. Okay, can't forget hair, because I'm bald. So probably with someone with a full set of hair. But yet, she comes home to me. She has chosen me. We have all the fun we want to have, but at the end of the evening, she comes home to me. And I don't want this to come across the wrong way that I'm like some kind of possessive asshole. But she's mine. She's my wife. I get to have this amazing, sexy woman. And again, I don't mean this in a possessive way. I just mean that she is my wife, my spouse, the woman that I married, who's by my side every day and loves and supports me. And that said, I can't deny that there is also a small part of me that, feels kind of, more masculine, knowing that this drop dead gorgeous hottie that many, many guys want to fuck is the woman that I get to come home to every day. And of course, have sex with on a regular basis. It is a damn good feeling, if I'm going to be honest. So all that kind of ties in to the feelings that I associate with reclaim sex. But the other main part of my hypothesis, so part 2, about why reclaim sex is so amazing and so intense for us, I'm gonna get a little deep here So fair warning, it's going to sound kind of corny, I guess, but it's because of the loving bond that Eva and I share. When we have reclaim sex, we are reconnecting not only on a physical level, but on an emotional level. We allowed each other to experience sexual pleasure with someone else. And now it's time to come back together and experience intimacy as a husband and wife. So it's not just the physical part of it that is so enjoyable. It's also the emotional part. Eva is the woman I love. I am the man that she loves. The guy that just had sex with her, that was pretty much just, entirely physical pleasure. There was no emotional, loving bond between them. Eva is not in love with that guy. She's in love with me, and I with her. So reclaim sex is a reconnection, so to speak, of two people who share that strong, loving bond. And again, I apologize if all that sounds corny and mushy, but it's the truth. We connect, or I should say we reconnect on an emotional level in addition to the physical one. And when you bring both of those together, like the physical aspect as well as the non-physical aspect, man, it just creates a perfect storm of passion and ecstasy, and that is probably my favorite component of the lifestyle. We go off, we have our fun, we have a lot of fun, and then we reconnect. Then it's back to our married life. And Eva feels the same way about this, by the way. Okay, this is not just coming from me. Okay, in fact, the gentleman who emailed me this even said this may be more of a question for Eva. And I did talk about it with her before preparing this episode. I asked her about her thoughts regarding reclaim sex, and she pretty much verified everything I just said. She loves the aspect of getting her husband back, is how she said it. She loves getting her husband back, and reestablishing that bond, that loving bond that I just mentioned. So that is one of the main reasons, and I've mentioned this many times before in previous episodes, why reclaim sex is not just something we feel we want to do, but it's something we kind of feel like we need to do. And I truly 100% mean that. It feels like a need. For us, reclaim sex is more of a necessity than a choice. We both feel like it is appropriate after being intimate with others to reconnect on an intimate level, the two of us. So that is why we always engage in reclaim sex very soon after play with others. If we hosted another couple, it takes place pretty much minutes after they leave our home. If another couple hosts us and then we head home afterwards, it pretty much takes place minutes after we arrive at home. And if it's at a hotel, it takes place a few minutes after we get back to the hotel. Or if our dates were there, a few minutes after they leave the hotel room. And on the very, very rare occasion we play at the club, it takes place soon after, right after, pretty much, after we get back to our home or hotel room. And I admit, part of that is because, yes, we are older, okay? And it is usually quite late when our evening with our friends has ended. So, we're eager to get it on and get to bed. But we do make it a priority. Reclaim sex. We make it a priority. And again, as I have explained in another episode, it is important to us as a husband and wife that we engage in intimate activity. And that sounds so formal. Okay, it is important to us that we have sex soon after we reconnect as a married couple. And there have been times when circumstances have caused us to not have immediate reclaim sex. Maybe, someone wasn't feeling well, or was too sore, or was too drunk, or whatever. But then we make it a point to have sex the next morning. And I have a morbid reason that goes along with this. My thought is, what if an unexpected catastrophe occurs? What if we abstain from reclaim sex for whatever reason and postpone it until the next day? And then, I run errands. Like I get up and I go grocery shopping, and then I'm killed in a car accident. Eva doesn't want to think that the last person she had sex with was someone other than her husband. Last person she had sex with before I died was not me. Morbid, I know. But in my opinion, a very valid thought. Likewise, if something happened to Eva, I would not be able to ever live it down. I would never be able to live down the fact that she wasn't the last woman I had sex with prior to her passing. So yeah, there you have it. Okay, there is, even a very morbid, very serious reason for reclaim sex. And I have something else to say about reclaim sex for Eva and me. Sometimes, oftentimes I'll say, we're so riled up and excited that there are 2 rounds of reclaim sex. Once shortly after our dates are no longer present, and then usually again the following morning. And it is such a turn on, such an intense experience every time. Eva and I used to laugh about it because there have been plenty of times, usually after Eva has returned home from a solo experience, that I can't even wait until we get in bed. I have literally met her in our bedroom closet right after she got home. She goes in there to change after taking her coat off, and I follow her in there, excited to start hearing immediately about all the juicy details of the experience she just had. And trust me, when that happens, it does not take long. I am already rock hard and want to fuck her right then and there before we even leave the closet. And if we do, we do have a walk-in closet, by the way, so there's definitely room. So there have been many times where I ended up just having sex with her up against the wall in the closet or on the bench that we have in there, even before she got completely changed. I mean, I'm not exaggerating at all here. She starts the changing process, okay? Like she's starting to change from whatever she wore on her date, and I pull down her underwear. I start playing with her pussy, and then I find myself unable to wait any longer as I hear about all the fun she just had. Way back in episode, I think it's 11, called Eva's Fantasy Fulfilled, I told the story of how Eva drove an hour and a half to a guy's house wearing nothing but lingerie under a trench coat. Her fantasy was to show up at the guy's house, to surprise him, and of course have sex with him. She planned it with the dude's wife, and it went off perfectly. Oh, by the way, I actually have a new piece of information that Eva only recently shared with me about that evening. She said that when she arrived at his house, since she had been so turned on thinking about it, like what was going to happen when she got there, she said the seat of her car was soaking wet when she got out of it. I couldn't believe she'd forgotten to share that before. Anyway, got sidetracked there. After that particular evening, when she arrived home, that was closet reclaim sex night. Okay, that was intense. Such a sexy adventure. We did not make it out of the closet. Like I said, just so intense, so hot and intense. So I guess my point to all this is that yes, Eva and I both find reclaim sex to be amazing, and not only amazing and wonderful, but also pretty much a necessity. Like we feel like we need that reconnection as a married couple. And that'll wrap things up for today on Evan Swings. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode. As I always do, I invite you to get in touch with me with any comments, questions, thoughts, or suggestions that you might have for me. Again, this is 100% a labor of love for me, and I'm happy to receive suggestions for future topics, opinions that you might have on the things I've discussed, or if you just have questions for me or Eva. I greatly appreciate all the love and support my listeners have shown me. To get in touch with me, you have several options. The newest way, which I'm kind of still learning, so I can't guarantee a timely response yet, but that is to find the Evan Swings profile page on swing.com. The username, or like my username for that, is Evan Swings Podcast. So that's all one word, Evan Swings Podcast. So you can find that profile, search for it, and use the messaging feature to contact me. You can also find me on Blue Sky by searching for Evan Swings on the Blue Sky app. Or you can find me on Instagram or Kik using my full name, which is Evan Dienson, EvanDeanson. Or finally, you can use good old-fashioned email. You can just send me a message. Just send it to evandeenson@gmail.com. I do hope to hear from my listeners, new and not so new. I try to do this podcast every 2 weeks, and I think there's only been one instance where I did not succeed in doing so. Maybe two. So therefore, I hope to have everybody listening right now that you check back here in 2 weeks for another episode. It will most likely be here, wherever you find your podcasts. Until then, be safe, be adventurous, and always live life to the absolute fullest. Take care, everyone.